still got some folks out front. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started since we are a little bit past 5:30. First, again, just to reiterate, thank you very much for being here. I want to thank the staff of Bermuda Bay United Methodist Church for allowing us to use their space. I hope after tonight they will welcome us back again next time. That's up to you guys, though, hopefully. A couple of things I want to say. The restrooms, in case you all have to go right out here to the right, out back, make a right, and the restrooms are right there. I've got this listed from 5:30 to 7, but I'm going to stay until we answer all the questions. The staff out front, we appreciate your patience with them. We like to have everyone sign in so we know who's here, and that way if we have to send additional correspondence to you, we can do so because we have your information. There are comment cards that we've distributed. Feel free to fill those out later in the day. I'm going to pull those up and we're going to go through them one by one, and we're going to go through each and every one of them. Also, as you see on your seats, there are red and green agree, disagree cards. Later in the agenda, we're going to go through a series of questions very, very quickly. It helps me, it helps staff to kind of see just a quick down and dirty who agrees with what, who disagrees with what. And so we'll do that in just a couple of minutes. Excuse me. Yep.
Sorry, I was trying to say we got seats up here.
Oh, we do have some seats.
One seat here.
One seat.
And 2 seats here.
2 seats here.
2 over here.
Got a couple over here.
Can I ask you a question? Can you tell us who you are?
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, yes. I guess I ought to do that. Yeah, my name is Jeff Bergosh. I'm the County Commissioner for District 1 and the Chairman of the Board. And I'm the one who organized this meeting. And we have a great turnout, which is a good thing. All right. So before we get started, we do have an agenda, and we're going to go through it. And we're going to start. If you guys would join me in observing a moment of silence to open this meeting up, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Amen. Okay, now at this point, I don't know where the flag, the flag is right there. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. Again, I want to thank you all for being here. We're going to get right into the agenda, and then I also have some special guests here today, and I'm going to go ahead and introduce the folks who are here. We have elected officials. Mrs. Vicki Campbell from ECUA is here. Mr. Kevin Adams from the Escambia County School Board is here. He's also the chairman of the board. In addition to that, we have Mr. Bruce Woody. He's the executive director of ECUA. We have Mr. Wes Marino. He is the county administrator. We have Director of Planning and Zoning, Horace Jones. Other staff members here, I believe I saw Assistant Administrator Debbie Bowers. She's right there, hello. Any other staff members here? We got several staff members in the back. Michael Rhodes from Parks and Rec. We got Don. We've just got several staff members here. So if I don't answer the question, if I don't have the answer, we'll ask the staff that's here. If the staff that here doesn't have the answer, then we'll get the staff that does, and we will get an answer back to you. I'm going to start out this evening by offering an opportunity for our county administrator to give some remarks and say hello. And without further ado, please join me in welcoming Wes Marino.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here tonight. What a great crowd. So I've been the interim county administrator for almost 7 months now. At the last board meeting, the board did approve to go out and do a search. We hired a search firm, and we're in the process of getting that search firm on board. And you'll probably be hearing quite a bit more about that as we move through that process. Also, in the last 6 to 7 months, we have a lot of union negotiations, labor negotiations. So we've been able to come under contract with all but one so far of our unions, our labor negotiations. Been very, very good efforts there from both sides to do that. We've been able to increase some wages. As you know, we're still running about 400 positions vacant. And so like everybody else in the job market, we're having a difficult time attracting applicants, but we're working hard and you'll see some recruitment campaign take off fairly quickly. That's in the works. We've hired a budget director, a finance director. We're building our finance team back. We're starting our budget process even this month. We've already started having some of those discussions. There's a lot of hard work that still needs to be done to bring that budget into fruition, and we're going to do it. We're going to be creative in how we do it, and we're going to be we're not going to be quite the turmoil that we had last budget cycle. So we're going to move forward. I'm optimistic about where we are in county operations. We have a lot of good things going. We've hired a transportation and traffic engineer as of recent. We're looking to hire a county engineer, hopefully before the end of this week. And we are still looking for a procurement director there in purchasing. But we're working hard. Staff is rising to the level, getting the work done, and I'm very proud of them. And my door is always open. If you want to write my phone number down, it is 850-554-3040. You can call me 7 days a week, and if I don't answer, I will return your call. And with that, Commissioner, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Wes, for being here. Appreciate you being here. All right, as I said earlier, we've got some other elected officials in the room this evening, and so I would like to give the opportunity for these folks to speak with you. Before I do, Don Christian is here, Michael Rhodes. Who else? Is Rob McCracken here as well?
I'm in his place, James Duncan.
James Duncan is here. Okay, what other staff? And I was remiss to introduce my own aide. Debbie Kenny is here. She's my aide. If you call my office, more than likely she's going to answer it. So she's the one who helped organize tonight, so she's here as well. And Tim Day is here as well. Tim Day and Andrew Homer is here as well. So we got them all here. So if these guys can't answer the question, we're in real trouble because we've got them all here. We got the brain trust. All right, here we go. So I'm going to start out with our school board chairman, Mr. Kevin Adams is here this evening. Kevin, if you'd like to give some remarks to the team. Join me in welcoming Kevin.
Okay, as you all know, it's been difficult for school board members this last year, but I would tell you we got approximately 38,000 students, 5,000 employees. So we have pulled through the crisis. I think we've done it pretty good, and it's still there. So we still have teachers that are having to take off. We still have students that have to take off for COVID. So we're 350 short. Approximately employees. So we're short bus drivers, cafeteria workers, teachers, and just about every critical employee that you can imagine. So if you know anybody needs a job, we got positions that are open. So I'm the chairman of the Escambia County School Board, so on behalf of the school board, I want to appreciate everyone being here tonight. We appreciate it. So if you need to call me about something or email about something, just send it to kadams2, the @ and it's ecsdfl.us. And if you go up to the Escambia County School Board website, you can go on school board members and you can see all of us with all our cell phones and all our email addresses, okay? Well, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Kevin. I like his brevity. That's good. And I'm sure that Vicki Campbell will be equally as brief. Vicki Campbell from the ECUA.
You're in my neighborhood now, and they know how much I like to talk. But anyway, I just want to say thank you for coming tonight. I know I've worked with many of you in the room. I see a lot of familiar faces, if not neighbors of mine. I live in Perdita Bay, Country Club Estates. I coached ball out here for about 12 years, so I see parents, maybe even grandparents of some of those kids. And I'm going to give you just a quick, brief update on everything ECUA related. And then if you have questions, I don't have a plethora of staff with me, but I do have Bruce Woody, who pretty much knows it all by now. He's been here a little over a year, almost 2, year and a half, almost 2. And he knows pretty much everything ECUA related if I don't have the answer. So first, I like to do the worst thing first and get it out of the way, and then talk about the good things at the end. So the worst thing anybody ever wants to talk about with ECUA is rates, and I would love to tell you that I'm never going to have another rate hike as long as you live, but I would be lying, and I don't like to lie. So I'm going to tell you that at ECUA, since I've been on the board, your board has tried to keep your rate hikes at or below CPI. CPI is running about 7 right now, and in 2019, 19, it was a 2.5% increase. 2020 on water, we had 0 rate increase. And then last year, we could have given you a 0 rate increase again. The good news about growth is growth pays for growth at ECUA, and all the new people that are coming on line with ECUA gives us more revenue, water revenue, so it makes us able to keep your rates lower. We did, however, do a 2.5% rate increase last year, and that was because we wanted to show DEP we are serious about one thing, and that is septic to sewer conversion. We went ahead and did that 2% rate increase and said that every single dime of it was going to go to septic to sewer conversion. And it worked. The DEP gave us $11 million. Now that's matching grants, so that means we're going to have to spend $11 million, but that means Escambia County is going to get $22 million worth of septic to sewer upgrades. For anybody living on Perdido Bay, I can tell you what that means. So sanitation rates are not really up to me. They're up to, we collect the garbage, we put it at the county landfill, but I'm happy to say that the county has held their fees on that landfill for several years now. And so we've not had to go up for that reason, but we have had to go up on sanitation last year for one thing and one thing only, and that is try to hire a CDL truck driver right now. It won't happen. You want your garbage picked up, we've got to pay the price. And every time I give somebody a raise to pay the price, Amazon or Walmart will offer them a little bit more. So we're working really hard, our staff, to keep those truck drivers at ECUA. We're offering incentives and all kind of things. Recycle. You hear a lot of things about recycle. If you have questions, write them down. I'll answer them. 2021 was a much better year because the commodities market was so much better. It's rebounding. China and Russia are even taking mixed paper again, and the domestic markets are fully coming back. So cost avoidance is all that recycle is. Everything I recycle, I don't have to put in the landfill, and that costs you $45 a ton. So recycle again, not a money maker. It's a cost avoidance, okay, and that's why we do it. We do the same thing with yard waste. We turn your yard waste now into a compost that we are selling faster than we can make it. And that, again, is a cost avoidance because we don't have to dry the sludge we make it with, and that gets passed on to you. And that's about $1 million a year for that power. Next, sanitation update. We have trucks right now coming back in from Santa Rosa, as well as cans. I'd like to tell you those cans are going out for to-be replacements, and they are, but the new cans that we're getting in are being used as fast as we can do them. They're building houses so quickly. And I guess everybody here knows how big growth is going, and I'm sure Jeff is going to touch on that because our district is growing quicker than anyone. One thing that we do need, that county staff and ECUA are working on together, is a transfer station. And I'm going to ask Bruce to put up a picture of one of my trucks at the landfill. When they get there, they stay in line all day on Beulah Road, 9 Mile Road, Pine Forest Road, traveling back and forth to the landfill to dump, okay? And then when they get there, you'll see these pictures he's got up here. The trucks turn over. Every time one of those trucks turn over, that's $300,000 out of your pocket. There is no money tree at ECUA. It comes out of all of your pockets. So when those trucks turn over, that's what happens. We have to buy new trucks or fix the old ones. But we are working really well with the county staff, and Jeff is working really well with myself, and we are building a new transfer station. That should be happening over the next year and a half. And last thing is, I hear everybody up here talking about workforce. Well, I'm going to tell you, workforce, we have the same issues that everybody else does. It's really hard to find good work, but we have a good program for employees. We have a retirement system, and everybody that works there loves it, so send us some employees. And if you have any questions, again, please just write them down, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Vicki.
Well, I certainly do appreciate the other elected officials, my counterparts in District 1, being here tonight. And of course, if you have questions for them, check the website out, send them an email. And I have comment cards here. I would encourage you, if you have questions, specific questions, I want to get to all of them. And in the for the sake of efficiency, if you can fill those out, try and write legibly if you can, and pass them to the end of the rows, and I will have Andy, our one of the members of our staff, pick them up, and they'll bring them forward. And we're going to go through every single question, so fill them out, and we will go through them. I want to talk about some areas of importance throughout the county right now, and then we're going to get into the specifics of District 1, the southern portion of District 1, and then, of course, we're going to go through, and I'm going to read the questions. We're going to answer the questions again. We'll have staff answer them. And if we can't, again, we will get your email address, and we will send you the answers. So one of the things that, the reason we haven't had one of these in District 1 in a while, since essentially 2019, was the onset of, obviously, the COVID-19 pandemic. We curtailed a lot of activities, but with Omicron kind of deadening down and the vaccines out there, we felt like this was a good idea. I see a few folks wearing masks. I have to wear them all day long where I work. My day job, I don't like wearing masks, but I'm, just in case anyone's worried in the front rows, I'm boosted, vaxxed, everything, triple shot. I got everything, so I hope I'm okay. We'll see what happens. The county, we received $14 million from CARES Act, and we put that right back into the citizens' pockets. One of the ways we helped recover, we gave money to families, we gave grants to businesses, we put money into testing, we put money into vaccinations. So we've worked really hard with that money. And then we subsequently got a $62.5 million American Rescue Plan tranche of money, and we are currently spending that. We're using it for a lot of different things we've done. And so we've got the money to give shots, to set up these appointments, these vaccinations, and I would be remiss if I did not thank our hospital partners, Baptist Healthcare, Ascension Sacred Heart, West Florida Hospital, Community Health Northwest has been a fantastic partner with the county, and we've been able to get a lot of the citizens vaccinated. Last I checked, we're at about 55% or so with with both shots, and a little less than that with one shot. So right now, as of today, if you go to the dashboard, myescambia.com, you'll see we have 231 citizens, fellow citizens in the hospital with COVID. So we're definitely not out of the woods by far, and that's what we've done. Obviously, there was a redistricting. Every 10 years, after the decennial census, by statute, counties have to redistrict. Now, the caveat to that is they have to redistrict in odd-numbered years. They don't have to redistrict in the first odd-numbered year. This year we had challenges. Typically, counties and school boards get their census data in March of the year following the census. So for instance, in 2010, when we did the redistricting, I was on the school board at that time, we did joint meetings with the county, and we had all of our data for the redistricting in March of 2011. And we started the process, and it was a 7-month process. We did not complete it until September, October timeframe of 2011. So this year, the board felt like there would be some minor tweaks to make in the districts. I was concerned. I didn't think that we would have time to do it properly with enough public input. I was one of 2 board members who said, hey, maybe we should slow it down and wait till 2023. I was outvoted on that. So we had joint meetings with the school board, and they were very productive and very efficient, and we were able to complete the process this year. And so District 1 now, the boundaries have changed, as many of you know, and that's why you're here. And so that's kind of what's going on. Wes touched on the budget a little bit. Obviously, we have rescue plan money, and I believe that the tax roll is going to grow significantly this year, so hopefully we'll have a little extra money. As Vicki and Kevin both mentioned, we have a tremendous issue with staffing as well in all of our departments. Particularly, it's acute in animal services, corrections, the roads department, public works. We have, last time I counted, tell me if I'm wrong, Wes, about 400 openings in the county. So everyone's looking for work. A lot of folks are at home, and frankly, there's been some things that have been put out at levels above us that have disincentivized working. So folks a lot of folks don't want to return to the workforce, and that creates a tremendous burden on local governments that are trying to provide services. But we will have the budget process starting in March. I've got a number of things that I'm going to, as chairman, going to bring forward, and I look forward to going to those into some more detail later on in the agenda. The jail is an acute issue. As many of you may be aware, our jail, and I found out very recently that we were holding a tremendous number of state prisoners. These are inmates that have been convicted, and they've been sentenced to state prison. And at one point, we had 128 of them, and the state wasn't picking them up. So we made a lot of noise about that. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of money. It was costing us over $12,000 a day to house the state prisoners, and come to find out, it's not common, but some prisoners end up spending their entire state sentence in our jail locally, which means local taxpayers are paying for it. So I'm happy to report, I spoke to Chief Powell, our director of the jail, and the state has really started moving quickly now that we've made some noise. So that's good news for the citizens. But we are acutely understaffed. That's a very difficult job. A lot of citizens would never want to do it. It's a very tough job. So I would simply say, if you know a young man or woman who wants a career, steady, with great benefits, we are offering incentives, recruitment bonuses, and it's a career that you will get a high-risk retirement with. If you work 30 years, you will retire with 90% of your pay as a retirement pension. And that's unheard of in the private market. And we also have tremendous benefits. I sound like a commercial up here because, frankly, every time I speak before people, I am a commercial. We need a lot of people. We need people to come back to work. We need people to come work in Escambia County so we can provide you the services. Fire and EMS, I'm very, very happy to report, many of you may know this, we have a brand new director of public safety, Eric Gilmore. He's a rock star, just an absolute superstar. He served previously as the director of emergency management. He's been for decades a volunteer firefighter in Escambia County, up in the northern end, and he was tapped for the job, and he's just done a remarkable job. He has hired a brand new EMS chief, David Torcell, who's made a lot of changes. He's putting together a very good team. We've bought a lot of equipment. That's going well. And then we've also hired a brand new fire chief, Jason Catterbone. So many people. And he comes from North Dakota, and he's doing a fantastic job as well. And the other thing that Wes very, very modestly talked about our labor contracts, but I have to give a lot of credit where it's due. Wes Marino stepped up as our interim county administrator, and he's gone to work, rolled up his sleeves, and we've closed every bargaining group that we bargain with, employee bargaining group. He's closed their contracts. The only exception is the ECAT, and he's working hard on that right now. So I give Wes a lot of credit. It's a very difficult job, but let's give him a round of applause. That's fantastic. It's not easy, believe me. And so I'm very happy with Wes. Frankly, I was not the guy who was pushing to replace him because he's doing a fantastic job. He knows the system and does a very good job. So Triumph and Restore Act. The county has been very successful in getting a lot of Restore Act projects done. You don't hear about it because they're not real sexy projects. I'll give you a couple from District 1 that you might find interesting. We had a $1.5 million project, a Restore Act project, to master plan OLF 8, which is a large Navy helicopter field up in the northern part of District 1 in Beulah. Well, we made a deal with Navy Federal Credit Union, and we worked with them as a collaborative private sector partner, and they agreed to take that responsibility to pay for the master plan. So we worked to deal with them. They paid for the master plan, and that $1.5 million Restore Act project actually went to the airport. We put that together with a lot of other funding sources into an overall $220 million economic development project to bring ST Aerospace to Pensacola, Florida. They're going to build 3 hangars and an administrative building, and eventually they will, within the next several years, they will have an additional 1,300 good jobs in Escambia County, Pensacola. So that was a great creative use of those funds. The other project in District 1 that we just recently completed and got the engineering report for was a dog track south Coral Creek. We had a drainage issue down in that section of District 1. We had the engineering studies done, and that was paid for with Restore Act. Now, there was a Restore Act project out on Perdido Key, and that's still in the process of being completed. That is the multi-use path. The western portion from the Alabama border to the western edge of the state park is completed. In speaking with Tim Day, our natural resources manager, we believe the funding is locked in. We've got all the permits and everything necessary, and we're going to complete that. It's going to start in the fall of this year, the second half, from the east side of the state park all the way to the Theo Bars Bridge. So that's another fantastic project, over $5 million funded with Restore Act oil spill money. Now, Triumph, we've had a lot of big projects there too. I mentioned ST Aerospace. Pensacola, Escambia County got $55 million in oil spill money to put into that project. Fantastic project, big jobs. There are many more. We have several companies that have given RFPs. Right now, I will tell you, our economic development wing, Florida West, are negotiating with a large company to bring 63 jobs. They pay an average of $61,000 a year. high-tech company. And we've got two other ones that I'm not at liberty to talk about. A week ago Thursday, a brand new company came to Escambia County, Pensacola. I can talk about this, and I will. The name of the company is Circulagene, and they are bringing, when they get fully built out, they will have 70 jobs that pay six-figure salaries. They're hiring right now graduates and folks with experience coming out of UWF. So that is a fantastic, when we cobble together good jobs like Navy Federal Credit Union, ST Aerospace, Circulagene, these other companies that I can't name yet, that makes our employment base a lot more diverse. And Escambia County has historically not always been very diverse. I speak from experience. I graduated from Pensacola High School in 1986. A lot of us had to leave town to find work. And I've spoken to a lot of people who've had to leave town to find work. And as a school board member for 10 years watching these graduations, a lot of these students had to leave town to find work. I want to make it, part of my goal as a county commissioner is to make it to where students, if they want to find a good career here, can stay here in Escambia County. And we don't have the brain drain. So very proud of that. Now, I want to talk to some areas of specific interest in the southern part of District 1. First, we'll start with the Habitat Conservation Plan and the Perdido Key Master Plan. There's been a lot of rumors, there's been a lot of speculation, innuendo, that I'm going to come in like a wrecking ball, like the song that you've heard. Simply not true. I'm a process-oriented person. I'm going to follow the process, and I'm going to follow the rules. These guidelines, these ordinances were in place, and so I intend to follow them. So I just want to let everyone know that, because again, there are rumors out there that I'm going to bust the cap and start developing, and first of all, I can't do that myself. Second of all, I don't intend to. Third of all, I'm a rule follower. So I just want to get that out there first and foremost. Galvez Landing out of Inner-Arity. There has been a lot of consternation about that project. In speaking with Tim Day, the grant funding for that project has unfortunately fallen through. But driving out there and looking at it, though, the issue that I see at Galvez Landing, the initial issue, the primary issue is that parking lot. It's just a train wreck. There's potholes. It's horrible. So I've spoken with Tim Day. We're moving forward with repaving that, restriping it, and we're going to get that part of the project done, and we have funding for that. So I believe that's good news for the citizens. Next, we'll talk about Inner-Arity Point. The causeway has been flooding out there. It's been flooding, and I've been contacted by residents and citizens of that area. They tell me a moderate rainfall will make it almost unpassable, an extra foot and a half, 2 feet. In researching the issue, there was an MSBU put on the residents out there, Municipal Services Benefit Unit, which means it's something that directly benefits people and they're taxed for it. I don't know the reasons why it hasn't been solved yet, but I can tell you this, as District 1, and that's now part of District 1 again, I'm going to find a way to solve it. And if we have to use some discretionary money, I'm going to do that as well, because right now the county has a stake in that. We own multiple properties out there, and we're trying to sell them. We've been very successful in selling most of them, but we still own some property out there. So unless the lawyer tackles me, I intend to make that happen. So please remember that you heard that here, because I will follow up with it. Perdido Key Roundabout, another vicious rumor flying around today. I had calls and texts about it, that I was going to destroy the project and kill it, that I didn't support it. Here, let me just say, a couple weeks ago we had the vote, and I voted for it. So I don't know where these rumors start, but let me lay the rumors to rest. Now, let's talk about roundabouts. Let's talk about roundabouts. We talk about religion. I'm a Catholic, and I go to a Baptist church. We talk about traffic circles. I'm agnostic. I mean, a couple years back, I had a counterpart in District 4. He wanted to put $10 million into traffic circles at Pensacola Beach. And I looked over and I said, you're going to pay for it? I mean, it's in your district. I'm agnostic, so I supported him. Well, he left and there was no money and it didn't happen. But in this particular instance, Commissioner Underhill, I have to give credit where it's due. He committed money to this project. They had multiple public meetings like this one. I'm told 64% of the people that showed up wanted the roundabout there. So, and he is going to leave them the funding in place. He's paying for it from his discretionary money. So far be it from me. Again, I get back to where I'm at on traffic circles. I'm agnostic. I voted for it, and it passed unanimously. So anyone that's calling or going on social media and saying that Jeff Bergosh doesn't support it is simply not telling you the truth. We voted 2 weeks ago, and I voted for it. So hopefully that puts that to rest as well. Okay, beach access number 4. This could be a point of contention. 2013, before I was on this board, the county spent over $3 million to acquire a parcel of land 300 feet on the Gulf of Mexico, 300 feet. Imagine 300 feet on the Gulf of Mexico, bigger than the current 3 public access points that we have right now. We bought it for the specific purpose of habitat conservation and public beach access. So what happened? Nothing. It was sitting there. It was sitting there. And meanwhile, because I went out there, it wasn't even my district, but I'm a beach guy. I love the beach, and I love going out to the beach to fish, and I love the idea of having public beach access for people on the west side of Pensacola. And I found out that that piece of property was behind a locked gate for political reasons. So, in 2017, a year after I came on the board, I started pushing and making noise. And I brought it forward over a lot of objections. And I still, to this day, don't really understand the objections, because what was going on, and I'm going to be very, very honest, please don't take this the wrong way, it might sound negative, but it's the truth. What was going on was there was a walkover to that beach, right between the crab trap and your 300 feet of beach. And there was a walkway that was locked, and it said private property. No one is allowed to use this. It had a lock on it. So I went out there a couple times before, but again, because I like going to the beach. I go to Pensacola Beach, but this is a west side beach. So District 1, District 2, this is our beach. And I've watched people walking from the condos across the street, over the walkway, and onto your beach. And yet we couldn't go because the doors were locked. So I started pushing, and I led the board, I'll say that, I led the board in getting the funding from the tourist development tax to pay for what's happening out there right now. And what's happening out there right now? We've got it built. It's built. Brand new beach access, 36 parking spots. He said 35. I went out there and counted them. There's 36. So I don't know. I'm telling you, there's 36. 4 of them handicapped. It's beautifully designed. We've got the split rail fencing. The only thing we got to do is put the mats over, and we are going to have a ribbon cutting. We're going to have a party, because once that opens, here's the great news. The county and others have spoken to the staff at the restaurant next door, and here's what they said. You know, we don't necessarily want you all parking in our parking lot if you're not going to be a customer, but you park in your beach access, you can use not only the 300 feet, you can use our 200 feet, because the crab trap has 200. So when we open that up, 500 feet of beach access at Perdido Key. That's a big deal. That's a big deal, and I'm very proud that we're going to do that. Now, I know there are people that are not going to be happy about it, but you know what? I think there's a lot of people on the west side of Pensacola who are going to be very happy about it. As a matter of fact, thank you, yeah, I'll take some of that. And let me just say for the record right now, that, like you heard me earlier say, I play by the rules. Nothing breaks my heart more than walking out to Perdido Key, where I grew up and went fishing with my dad, my late father, and we used to walk up and down those beaches. You go out there now, there's no trespassing signs all the way to the water. Now I get it, okay, I play by the rules. But guess what? I hope everyone else understands that I know the rule book, and I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to find more parking, and I'm going to find more beach access, and we're going to play by the rules, but we're going to maximize what's out there and what I can afford to buy. Because again, everyone deserves to have a day at the beach. Yeah. There are kids in this town, they don't have a whole lot. They can't pay the cover charge of $25. $25 to go use the federal beach. Yeah. So look, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be aggressive about it. There are going to be people who don't like it. Later, we're going to do our agree, disagree, and that way I'll know. But I say all that to say, I will respect the property rights that are out there. I didn't make the rules, but I know how to play by them. I know how to read a rule book. So that's what's going on with that. Station 20. Okay, those of you that live on Bower Road, south of 98. Going to tell you a true story. It might sound a little bit negative, but the truth sometimes is negative. But here's what happened. 2018, late 17, early 18, I'm a fairly new commissioner. And the previous administrator and the previous director of public safety came in to see me. And they said, Commissioner, we're having an issue at Station 20. And full disclosure, Station 20 was a leased property. I thought there was a lid on there. It was a leased property that we had a volunteer contingent of firefighters manning. And they came and said, look, Jeff, we've got to close this thing. We're to lose the lease. They're running one call a year. That's what they told me, one call a year. And I said, look, I'm brand new, you're the staff. I'm going to take you at face value, take you at your word. I said, can we cover it? They said, yeah, we can cover it with other stations. Pleasant Grove, in Rarity, we got you covered. I said, okay. These are the staff. This is the Director of Public Safety. This is the County Administrator. Now, here's what happened that they didn't tell me, because I didn't know. I didn't know about the ISO rating at that point. I didn't know that once we pull that station out, people's insurance was going to go up. They didn't tell me. They did not tell me. On my mom's grave, they didn't tell me. Because if they did, what do you think I would have said? You could just imagine what that conversation would have gone a different way. So with that said, look, things happen, right? That's a true story. A true story. So what do? We got a mutual aid agreement with the Lillian Fire Department. They're over the bridge. They're within, 5 miles, actually very, very close to the bridge. But we've had a couple fires and they haven't responded. So I want to tell you right now, staff is working. We're working with the United States Navy to get a lease on Bronson Field. I'm told from both sides of that, from the Navy side and from the county side, that that's moving forward. But if it doesn't happen fast enough, we're going to do something else. We're going to do something because it's not fair to those residents. They had a service provided by the county, and it was yanked away. And it was done, frankly, if I'm going to be very, very blunt about it, it was done deceitfully. So, it's hard not to be bitter about what happened. Those people are gone, but that's an absolute true story, and that's what we're doing right now to address that going forward. Now, we've got some transportation projects. Of course, before I took office, there was competing visions for Perdido. Before I came into this area, there were competing visions for Perdido Key. My predecessor's predecessor had a vision to 4-lane Perdido Key. I'm hearing it was very, very unpopular. He was subsequently not reelected. His successor came in, and there was a PD&E study that was moving forward at the state. It was moving forward, which means it probably would have had significant support. And of course, I've confirmed all this historical, and you can please fact check me on anything that I tell you, anything. But that commissioner, for reasons, obvious reasons, it was unpopular, and folks did not want it. That project was killed. So a lot of folks have asked, well, what about Sorrento Road? Here's what's going on with Sorrento Road. And I just confirmed this today. There is a project to repave Sorrento Road from the Theo Bars Bridge to just west of Bower Road. That's what's on the books. It's going to go out to contract February, March. It's a state project, not a county project. There will be some intersection improvements, and there will be a separate project at the intersection of Bower and Sorrento, and that's going to be a great project. We also have a project at Blue Angel. It's in the 5-year work plan. We've got $5 million in the 5-year work plan for 2022 to start purchasing right-of-way, and that's going to be from Dog Track all the way up to Highway 98. That's going to be a good thing. But now I have to tell you, folks, I just got done living this disastrous project on 9 Mile Road. I still have to pinch myself. I can't believe it. I wake up in a sweat, but they finally completed it, 2 years overdue, millions of dollars over budget. But they get stuff done, but it takes a long time. Government moves like a glacier. But here's what I want to say. Driving Sorrento Road from Blue Angel down to Perdido Key, that's a dangerous stretch of road. And there's a tremendous amount of right-of-way on either side. So I just want to make an announcement here tonight. I'm going to work really hard on that. I looked on the, I'm on the TPO. My counterparts from the county commission all sit on TPO. That project is languishing at number 45 on the list. I'm going to move it up. We're going to get behind that project because it needs to happen. And it should have happened. But it's going to happen. But it takes time. So I say that 10 years from now I could be here and we could just be building it. I hope not. Blue Angel Parkway, I've described what's going on there. Just a couple other things, and then I would encourage you, comment cards. Do you have comment cards, Debbie? Where's Debbie? Is that them right there? If you have their comment cards, I would encourage you to complete them. Specific questions, any of the things that you've heard tonight that you just want to get off your chest. And again, I'm going to stay and we're going to read through them all, and if I can't answer them, we'll get you an answer. That's what we're going to do. And before I go too much further, I will say, as a county commissioner, one of the most interesting parts of this job is how some folks, how am I going to put this to be very, very positive? Some folks think that things that are not in our control are in our control. And I'm going to give just a brief, humorous example that I think that you will appreciate after we get these comment cards out. Look, Debbie's jumping. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is Debbie Malsberger, right here in the red. She is State Representative Michelle Salzman's legislative liaison. So if you have any questions for Michelle Salzman, just get Debbie Malsberger. Debbie, I apologize for not introducing you earlier, but I saw you again. So we're talking about things that are not the fault of the county commissioners. And this is a true story. Debbie will attest to it. I got a very, very angry call to my office, and the gentleman was beside himself. He was mad. And so Debbie forwarded me the message. And I can't repeat some of the colorful language, so I won't. We got a mixed audience. We got a family. It's a family show. But let me suffice it to say, he used some choice words, and he was mad because he bought a soda, a Mountain Dew to be specific, at a District 1 convenience store. And he didn't like it because it had Spanish writing on it. In fact, he said, "It's Puerto Rican." I don't even know where to start. True story. So as you can imagine, I called him back and we had a conversation, but I don't necessarily know that, all the marbles are in place in that situation. But I've been getting a lot of calls and emails and texts about the Florida Power and Light bills, right? So definitely don't want to wade into, a minefield, but being someone who tries to be proactive, I spoke to Senator Broxson, and I also spoke with the External Affairs Director of Florida Power and Light here. Am I getting the hook already? Am I getting the hook already? Come on, I'm just getting started. Are you giving me the hook? All right, I'll speed it up. Anyway, and you talk about the job no one would want right now. Can you imagine being the Northwest Florida Director for External Outreach for Florida Power and Light? Yeah, not the job I'd want at the moment. But the guy is really a great guy. So long story short, I reached out to him. He forwarded some information. I read it. I listened to what Senator Broxson told me. He made a lot of sense, and a lot of it's reiterated. So I printed out what the response was, and I brought packets here tonight. So if any of you all, I got clobbered over the head with a bill that went through the roof. Mine went up significantly. I haven't had a chance to look through the reasons why. I'm sure I used more kilowatts. But they're up here, and if you just raise your hand, if you'd like one, Debbie will bring them. If we run out, we'll email you some, okay? So if you'd like that, again, not anything I can control, but I'm doing this for Mr. Rick Byers, because Rick Byers is a good guy, and he's the Director of External Affairs for Florida Power and Light. Yes?
If you'll let them know if there's not enough, if they'll just email our office, I can send it.
I did.
Oh, you
I
did?
just said
I'm
that.
sorry.
Yeah, if there's not enough, we got them. You can email Debbie at District 1 in Maya Escambia, and we'll send them to you. Because, again, there's some good information there. All right. All right, well, we've gone through a lot of this stuff. So at this point, I want to go ahead and this is completely optional, totally optional, but this is something that helps me, and I believe it'll be helpful for staff. So does everyone, Debbie, do you have one of those green and red cards?
No, but we can show you.
Here, okay, there we go. So you should have had one of these in your seat when you came in. If not, we've got them. I'm going to go through and ask some questions, specific questions about county business, the southern part of District 1, and I would like your feedback. And I think this is for me, I've utilized this at several of my town halls. It's a quick way to get feedback. Now, for those of you watching on Facebook, because we are streaming this live on Facebook, this is just an important thing. If the audience agrees with something, they're going to point it this way, right? It's going to be green. They're facing me. I agree. But in the camera, you're going to see a sea of red. So, understand. If you see red, that means green. There'll be a test at the end. All right. I appreciate your indulgence. So, for those, and again, look, if you don't want to, you don't have to. If I don't see it come up, I get it. But there's some things that I think will be of interest. So we'll do this very, very quickly. Would you like to see more town halls like this one more often? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of green. I see the camera's going to see a lot of red, but I see a lot of green. Okay, so that's good. All right. Would you attend more frequent town halls if we hold them? I hope there's no red. I thought I saw one over there. Oh, going to get a complex. Okay. The biggest issue in District 1 is traffic. All right, we got, all right. I think there's more agrees, but there's some disagrees. So I'm going to call that a 60-40 agree. Right. The gentleman up front said, check out Atlanta. Now, I've been there. That's why I live here. The biggest issue in this area of District 1 is stormwater. Boy, I know we got problems. I get the emails, stormwater.
Right there.
Flooding, stormwater, those issues. Yeah, I think disagree wins that one, 60-40. That's a big issue. Okay. This is one that should be, I think this should be unanimous. Do you support the property rights for owners of private property? I thought I had a disagree. She switched it quick. All right, that's unanimous. That's 100%. It could be a trick question because the next one I ask you may not, Do you support zoning and ordinances to keep property development orderly in your community?
Close my eyes.
Come on, Horace. Look, you got to see a grant. See, some people might think that's kind of incongruent, but anyway. All right, so this is for the folks that are familiar or live out in Perdido Key. Can I just see a show of hands? Who are Perdido Key affiliated? Okay. And who are Inner-Arity and other areas of District 1 affiliated? Okay, so there's about half and half. Okay, so for those of you that are, you can all answer if you want. Do you support the Perdido Key Master Plan as implemented? Okay, yeah, that's a heavy agree. Do you support the Perdido Key Master Plan as it has been implemented? Okay. Okay. Well, again, it's a master plan that guides what is developed in Perdido Key in coordination and in conjunction with the Habitat Conservation Plan. And sometimes they're not always in alignment, as Tim Day tells me. But that is so. If you want to build something, a business or a house, those are the two things you have to fight against, and that's what the master plan. It is on the internet. In fact, Tim, why don't you come up and tell them where they can find our Tim Day from Natural Resources. He's our manager. He's going to tell you exactly where to find it, so you can look at it.
Good evening. I'm happy to see.
Kiss the mic.
Sorry, kiss the mic. Just happy to see a lot of familiar faces from years past. Happy to see some new ones. The Habitat Conservation Plan for the Key, you can actually just do Perdido Key Habitat Conservation Plan as a Google search, or you can go straight to the county website and type in both ways. You'll be able to find it right off the bat.
So thank you. Thank you, and I would encourage you to look at it. It's an interesting document. We are in the process. We just went through a master planning process for your property that the taxpayers own in Beulah that we're going to use to create good jobs and do some other things up there. And we're about to embark on another master plan in District 1 in the Beulah community. We've had a series of meetings with a public group, and that's going to happen. And that's also going to be funded with Restore Act money. So that's something that's coming up. Okay, so we got good support for the master plan. The current infrastructure for hurricane evacuation out of Perdido is sufficient. Okay, there's a disagree on that. Okay, looks like, 90-10. I appreciate this. And thank you very much for helping me, because you're helping me and you're helping staff. This gives us a great idea. Now, you'll find there's a couple questions that are kind of, we'll see what happens with them. It wouldn't be a fun meeting if we didn't do it. Okay, do you support efforts, I think I know the answer before I ask it, to make Sorrento Road a 4-lane road? Okay. Now again, that would be a long-term, I see some disagrees, but okay. But it's primarily, it looks like primarily agrees. 95, 5 agree. Okay. All right, and do you support the effort to repave the parking area at Galvez Landing with larger, more modern parking spots for larger boats, which might reduce the total number of spots, but would accommodate larger boats? We got to disagree. I think that's almost unanimous. I appreciate that. Okay. Do you support the Habitat Conservation Management Plan to protect endangered species on Perdido Key? We got a smattering of disagrees, but I would say, what do you think, 70-30, Deb? I think it's 70-30 agree. Yes. But, you know, it's not just the mouse. There's 4 species of turtles. There's multiple species of birds. There's the gopher tortoise. I don't think does the gopher tortoise out there? Yeah, okay, the gopher. So there's multiple species out there, and you know, I kind of like having Perdido Key the way it is, in contrast to Pensacola Beach. It's nice to have options, because sometimes I go to Pensacola Beach. I have a condo out there. I love Pensacola Beach, but I love Perdido Key because there's just a different vibe to it. So it's great. We're very fortunate in Escambia County to have both. I'll just put it that way. Okay, well, now, wait a minute, I'm not in charge of that. He wants me to shoot coyotes. Is that another Mountain Dew deal? Okay, all right. Do you think the county, this is a very important question, guys, very important. Do you think the county should Purdue Pharmaceuticals, I'm thinking about the opioid thing. Do you think we should pursue additional free public beach access points on Perdido Key? Okay. You guys want more access, okay. I do too. Guess what? I do too. I'm going to work on it. Again, I know how to play by the rule book. Okay. Do you support the county pursuing jobs for Escambia County residents via economic development projects like the ones I've mentioned? ST Aerospace, Circulogene, Navy Federal Credit Union, good high-paying jobs. Look at that. Look at that. Wait, hold that up for just one. I want to take a picture of that. I want a picture. Do you mind, really? Do you mind? No, because I've been grilled, I've been yelled at. You know, it's not a function of government to create jobs. I think it is. And I think Navy Federal Credit Union, I've had my disagreements with them, but let me tell you what a game changer that's been for Escambia County. ST Aerospace is going to be the same thing. These great companies like Circulogene and these other companies, what are you doing?
I was going to take a panoramic
Oh,
picture.
dude, oh. Can you, no, I'm not going to make them do that.
What? It's already gone.
Yes.
It's over now. Never mind.
You're a little late. A little late. All right. Okay. Thanks for the assist. All right. All right. Now here's one that's kind of selfish. Now I got to ask this question. I might make some enemies in the room already. I hope not. Okay. Our local newspaper, the Pensacola News Journal, is in step with our community's values. Yeah. Jim, I'm sorry, dude. I got to do this to you. Can you take a panorama of this one? Come on.
I'm going to send it to Lisa Savage and Andy Marlette.
Do you really want me to?
Yeah, please, yeah. I'm going to smile. Make it like a selfie.
Wait a second. I got to find where to put it.
Are you going to report that, Jim, tomorrow, please?
No.
Put it on the front page. Can you guys hold it? Yeah, please. Let me help you. Get those up high.
Okay. Hold on.
I'm telling you, this looks like almost unanimous. I see a couple. I see like 3 agrees. The rest are disagrees. Yeah, they were. Yeah, the News Journal employees are. Anyway, thank you guys for that. This is the last one like this that I promise. I believe what I read in the local newspaper, the Pensacola News Journal. Debbie, I think we need another panorama. No, I'm just kidding.
Just use it for both.
Okay, all right. Very good. No, I appreciate that. No, because I just want to say one thing, and please indulge me just for 1 second. Doing this job, whether you agree with everything I say, what I do, what I look like, it's a very difficult job. And I'm not just talking about what I do. My friend on the school board, my friends on the ECWay, the school board, the city council, the mayor, most of us grew up here. We love this place. That's why we live here. That's why we raise our families here. And it takes a lot to do this work. And I just want to say, I'm not going to speak for anyone but myself. It's a tremendous sacrifice. Your family takes a lot of hits. My own family has been on Facebook, dragged into Facebook chats. And so I would just simply say this. Wouldn't it be great if we could just turn down the rhetoric and just focus on the issues, not on people, just issues. You disagree with me, let's talk about it, right? Anyway, I digress. So anyway, I appreciate that. Okay, so here's a good one. I support the construction of a roundabout at the intersection of Johnson's Beach Road and Perdido Key Drive. All right, okay, I think there's pretty good support. You got a few disagrees. What do you think, Debbie? 80-20? Okay, 80-20 in support. I appreciate this, guys. Thank you. 80-20 support. All right. Here's one for the staff. Escambia County staff and elected commissioners are responsive to community issues. See, I had to lump us in a little bit now. I should say, they want me to separate it. Okay. Boy, we get it.
What do you got to say? They are.
I mean, what are you going to do?
Are responsive.
They are, yeah, I think that I saw the majority agreeing. That was a tough one. Sorry, I won't make them that tough anymore. Okay, this is one that I think we can get happy about. I think it's a lot. I guarantee this should be a unanimous. The quality of life here in Escambia County is good. Yeah, what? Wow, that is a sea of green. It is good here. It is good. Many of you are retired military, traveled all over the place. My dad was 33 years, lived all over the place, overseas, traveled. It doesn't get much better than Pensacola, Escambia County. I'm telling you. I mean, and you all live it, you know it. Especially those of you who've been out west and tried to ride the freeways in California and Atlanta. We heard Atlanta. How about South Florida, Orlando? My gosh. San Antonio, Texas. Wow. Forget it. So that's great. That, to me, that's a testament to what all the elected officials are doing and the people that work. More importantly, the staff that goes out and does the work. What a testimonial to them. And I want to apologize. We're short-staffed right now. I get calls. We can't do all the retention ponds the way we used to. We try. When I get a call, we do what we can. But, I mean, it's tough. And I will say this. I've always got to, I take the opportunity to manage up the staff. I did it when I was a school board member. A lot of people wanted to blame teachers. I will never let them, and I never did let them beat up the teachers. And the same thing goes for these staff members that go out and cut the ponds and clean the muck out of the ditches. They're good people. They're working as hard as they can. We just don't have enough of them. We're trying to hire them. So seeing that green out there, Wes, it was all green, man. All green. So thank you for that. Here's one that will probably be unanimous as well. Do you support impact fees on developers? Yeah, that's red meat. Yeah, the one disagreed, he switched it quick. Okay, that's all green. All green. There ain't no builders in here tonight. All right. Yeah, don't worry. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, this is just, hey, it was just, I'll be honest, 3 years ago I did this in Beulah, same thing, 100%. All right. Here's the final question. And again, I appreciate your indulging me on this. Do you support term limits for locally elected positions, such as county commissioner? Yeah, that's what I thought. Very good. Very good. I would say that's 95%. Let me ask you this, though. I have to ask one more now. What about at the federal level, Congress and Senate? Do you support term limits? Boy, those went up faster. All right, thank you for that. All right. Okay, well, at this point, as we're running I know we're running long, but now I want to get to what is really important and the reason we're here. Staff's here and I'm here. I want to know what's on your mind, and so staff has gathered these comment cards. They've got them in stacks. We got more coming. All right, and I appreciate, Debbie, at this point, just hand them
I
to...
think we pretty much handled the roundabout issue.
Okay, well, yeah, but we'll just...
We want to address it first.
They want to address it further. Okay, so hand me a stack. We're going to get this rolling right now.
I'll get it to you in a second then.
Just give me the first one.
No, I haven't done those yet. These are kind of all together.
Okay.
Kind of got them grouped.
All right. Okay, we're going to move really, really quickly. And again, email address. Okay, we got your phone number. Okay, this one comes from Don Lorch. He remains very concerned about the Doug Ford-Sorrento intersection, very concerned about the proposed Johnson Beach roundabout, creating increased traffic slowdowns. Okay, the Doug Ford entrance. I have confirmed with with the director of the TPO that when they start the resurfacing project that I mentioned before, from Theo Barr's Bridge all the way to Bauer, that they are going to correct that issue. That's going to happen between February and March of this year. It's happening this year. So I think that's good news. No, the fix is going to be, right now, if you're not familiar, when you're coming from the beach on Sorrento and you try to make a left-hand turn into the country club there, it's extremely dangerous. There's not enough space. There's not enough space to make that turn. So what they're going to do is they're going to widen the road right there and allow for a turn lane. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what's happening because it's extremely...
That's a very useless.
Oh, that's your opinion. Thank you. That's your opinion.
Andy else in Pale Moon.
Okay, excuse me, sir. Excuse me. We're running an orderly meeting. Thank you. I'm trying to go through. And listen, again, back to my point. You're not going to always agree, but I've had a lot of people express some significant concerns about the safety there. I actually went out there and rode with people who are in that neighborhood and live there and make that left turn all the time. They're going to make intersection improvements there as part of that project. If they don't get it 100% the way you want it, call me. We'll get them to do it again. But at least it's going to be, here's the key. It's going to be better than it is right now, and it's going to be safer. Next question. Thank you, I appreciate that. Catherine Johnson. When will the drain off between Continental Drive and Imperial Drive be cleaned out and dredged out, and the damage to property lines on the Continental side be repaired? The amount of water and debris has caused damage on my side and is affecting my fence line. Okay, that's a staff question. I will turn that one over. I don't know the answer. James Duncan is here. I don't know if y'all want to... James, you want to hold the hot potato? Or do you just want to take it and get...
I'll take it and get with it.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to give this one to the staff member who's in charge of that department, and he's going to get with you personally, probably offline.
Make sure she has her contact.
Contact number on there.
Yep.
All right, very good. Okay. All right, we're going to run through these because there's a lot of them, and I want to get to all of them. And as long as we're efficient like this and we read them all, we will get through all of them, and the appropriate staff will be able to answer the questions. Okay, this is from Deanna Redleski, and her question is, the county is already in the study phase of the main Bayou Marcus Creek for the Muldoon, Velma, Softlyfield project. Why not do a design change order to that existing project and add on a Bayou Marcus Creek tributary? See attached highlighted areas on the letter. Wow, very, very detailed. Thank you. I know we've had a number of constituents that have complained about that. A lot of folks have been flooded out, and I know that staff is working an issue. That could be another one for James Duncan.
Yeah, we actually have a meeting.
Oh, please come address it. Yeah, this is good. If you know the answer, let's get it out.
I don't have the answer, but we're...
No, come on. No, you come. You're coming. You got the answer.
James, you
He's
want
got
to
the
stay
answer.
up here.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a meeting Monday to discuss. We have a meeting Monday to discuss that. So we'll get back with y'all on that, what we find out. We will have to identify funding, though.
That's where I come in. I think I might be able to. We got a list. Okay. Oh, and this goes with that one too. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Okay. COC lawsuit. Please comment on the the lawsuit against the clerk. Okay. Yeah, I should have known that would come up. Okay, here's what's going on. When you become an elected official, or you sign up and you become employed with the county or the school board or any of the other government entities, even the state, you sign up to participate in a pension plan, for lack of a better word. And then there's a vesting period of 8 years. It used to be 6, it's 8 years now. Might even be longer. When 3 of my counterparts, now, full disclosure, I don't take the plan that is at issue here. I take the FRS plan, the same one that teachers took, because I got it when I was on the school board, and I'm vested in it. So I don't take the plan. But there is a plan that the county offered, and it wasn't well described. And it's a very generous plan, I will say. It's very generous, and I can agree with everyone in the room that 51% is too generous. But be that as it may, that was a plan. It was with the county, within the county since 1997. So several of my counterparts, in order to take that plan, you have to withdraw, and you have to make what's called a terminal election with the Florida retirement system, which means you opt out of it and you take this plan instead. Now, a lot of folks don't realize The amount of money that the entity pays, the county, is exactly the same whether you take the traditional FRS plan that I'm in or you take this 401A local plan that 3 of my counterparts are in. It doesn't cost any more. It's the same amount. It'd be like if you pick 2 mutual funds, you pick this one, maybe it doesn't do as well. You pick a natural resources one, metal, gold, especially in this inflation, maybe it does better. That's the long and the short of it. It's been in place since 1997. Last year, the clerk came out and said she felt like it was illegal, and the board, was kind of shocked by that because we've been, again, since 1997, been participating in the plan. And the lawyer said, well, let's get an opinion from FRS. FRS would not answer the question. We said, let's get an opinion from the Attorney General. Let's ask for a joint opinion. And there was no appetite for that. So she stopped paying the rate that was being paid at that time and changed it to 8%. And then after the first of the year, she withheld all the contributions. So that's what's going on. An attorney in town looked it over. We've had multiple attorneys that are specialists in this field look at it. And it's 2 separate issues. Is the plan legal? That's an issue. And then the other part is, and that's the one we can all agree on, is it too generous? We pay our senior staff in the plan essentially a 30%. The elected officials were getting more. Is it too large? I think we can all agree on that. But that's a separate issue. The issue is we had a contract. The Board of County Commissioners is the entity that enters into contracts. We enter into contracts for construction, engineering, maintenance. We enter in contracts. The clerk's office pays the contracts. It's a dangerous overstep when our county attorney and specialist lawyers from around the state weigh in and say, look, it's legal. Whether you like it or not is a separate issue. It's legal. It's a legally binding contract that the board entered into, which effectively has been constructively terminated by someone who doesn't have the authority. So there is a lawsuit. I wish it didn't go that way. I didn't want it to go that way. I wanted folks to sit down and talk and work it out. But that was a position that apparently was untenable. And so that's where we're at. And so a judge will decide whether or not it's legal. And then at that point, here's what I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see folks reevaluate and say, this seems overly generous. And I think that's part 2, but we got to get past part 1 to get to part 2. So that is the current status of that. And I appreciate the question. That's the honest truth about what's going on there. Cindy Richardson, please do not cancel the roundabout at the intersection. I'm not gonna. That was a rumor. Not gonna happen. Jimmy Sharehouse, intersection of Gulf Beach, Sorrento, Inner at PK Drive. See attached. Thank you for having a town call. No problem. My number 1 concern area is the traffic flow at the intersection of Sorrento, Gulf Beach, Inner falling down to Perdita Key Drive. A huge bottleneck getting worse. Now we have a slush fund of $880,000 to create more of the problem for that intersection just to satisfy a few. On peak days, which is becoming more often, we can experience up to 1 hour traveling or trying to turn to Inner from Sorrento. All this time during the tourists, they're trying to get across the bridge to Perdita Key or further into Alabama. The major problem, in my opinion, is we have taken the connection to Alabama and are trying to turn it into a dead-end street. For example, the speed bump at the Floribama should have been an elevated walkover. We have some agreement there, okay? Yeah, show me your card. Hey, if you don't mind, if you really agree with something, show me that card. Because I don't know if you're clapping, you're like, yeah, go get them, rip their throats out. Or you're saying, yeah, I agree. So if you agree with that, yeah, let me know. The master plan agenda is the guiding light. In all situations, there are solutions to problems. In this case, one has taken and kicked it to favor a few and created more havoc for others. On Inner alone, there will be more than 120 families added to the road this year. In closing, we give you money to spend wisely. Decisions need to be focused on long-term solutions. In this case, they should be focused on growth in the west portion of Escambia County. A roundabout is a waste of money. Okay, again, I inherited this project at the 11th hour. We had a meeting about it. We had a public meeting, publicly advertised, publicly noticed. About 2 hours before the meeting, I did receive a series of emails and texts from a couple of individuals. But at the meeting, not one citizen showed up to complain about it. I mean, I'm just now coming into this district. Do you know how long it takes to get any kind of traffic project over the line? The studies, the engineering, you know, and again, did I tell you my philosophy on roundabouts already? I'm Catholic. I go to a Baptist church when it comes to religion, but when it comes to traffic circles, I'm agnostic. So it was on the books. Doug is going to pay for it. I'm not going to stop it. So opinions vary. I have to believe, because no one came to the meeting, because engineers looked at this, traffic study engineers looked at it, ran simulations. I have to believe that it's going to be beneficial. Now check this out. There's nothing that says if it becomes an absolute train wreck and a disaster, then we have to leave it that way, right? Let me just say this. If it becomes more of a problem than a help, then I will commit to this. We'll reassess it. Very easy to fix them. Because some people have taken them out. Some places are putting them in. Some places have taken them out. You can go to the internet and look. We did all this research a couple years ago when District 4 wanted to put them at Pensacola Beach. And again, at that point, I supported him. He was going to put his money in. I told you that story. So there's that. Pat Turbinville. Land maintenance trash. Public county-owned land is not being maintained. Overgrown trash in many areas around the bridge. The sidewalks, recycling behind the sheriff's station on Gulf Beach Highway. It is coming back. If so, when? Vicki, you want to answer that?
Yeah.
I'll let Vicki take one real quick.
Okay, well, the recycling...
You got to come to the mic real quick.
I'm sorry.
And I should ask, do you mind staying and answering?
No, I don't mind at all. So,
You don't mind saying?
I love recycle. One of the county commissioners once said, "Don't stand still, Vicki Campbell will recycle you," and that's the truth. The recycling does not belong to me behind the sheriff's station. It belongs to the county. We actually only put the dumpsters there, and the reason that those were taken out was pretty frankly not Perdido Key, but I think it was some of the other ones, and I'll let your staff say if I'm right. It was some of the other ones around the county. People just misuse them. I mean, I would go to the one behind the sheriff's station, and it would just be mattresses and garbage and junk everywhere. What we need to do, and I've talked to Jeff about it, and we've said, we might try to do this one again. And only because it is behind a sheriff's station, we'll have to work together, and we're getting good at that. We're going to work together, try to get it back open, but there's going to be some cameras there. There's going to be ways to do citation there. If somebody misuses them, I don't know. We'll have to work together. Bruce knows how I feel about it. We've already talked about it on that end. I want you to be able to, especially this one. And the reason why is because a lot of those condominiums out there, they have a lot of wine bottles. Okay. And they have a lot of pizza boxes, and they have a lot of cardboard, and they don't have room to put a recycle bin because it takes up one of their parking places, and none of them have enough parking places anyway. So we're going to work to try to get this done, but we're going to need your help to police these people and shame them into not using it as a dump.
Agree. I agree. Where's my card? Yes. I agree with that. Hey, and that's a great question for Vicki's benefit. How many people in the room, if it's cost neutral or at no cost or no additional cost, how many people support what we're doing in terms of recycling in Escambia County? Okay, that's unanimous. That's unanimous. Now, let me ask it a different way. What if it costs you an extra 20% to recycle? You still support it? All right, we got some red coming in. All right, there's that data point too. All right. Look, I like it when it's revenue neutral. After that, I don't know. All right. Nadine. Escambia County has so much litter on every road in every district. There is furniture and toilets on the side of the road. Many roads. Perdido Key needs scheduled trash pickup. Every county beach need more cleaning. I've been fighting that for 2 years. I don't know what happens since this COVID, but you guys have been too. You're behind. I was behind a guy, and he was throwing plates out, like paper plates out, like Frisbees. The Whataburger bags go up one side, the Frisbees the other. Another guy's taking his junk to the dump, stuff's falling off the back. People use our streets as a dump. And let me just tell you, you're not going to hear about it in the news journal. I don't know if Jim's going to cover this, but West Marino, we were screaming about it at the board. And so we put together a thing. We got the inmates out there. Now they're picking up thousands of pounds of trash. Do we support make the inmates clean the trash? Right? Now, when COVID hit, here's the problem. When COVID hit, we had all these restrictions, we had situations we weren't able to use the inmates to the degree we were before. I mean, and so I think that's part of the difference. But here's the good news, because people aren't going to change their behavior. Other places you'll go, other places I've been, it's a $500 fine and they enforce it. Guess what? They don't have a problem. Here, you see a sign occasionally, $50 fine. No one enforces it. Whataburger bags, out the window, McDonald's. But with the COVID pandemic, hopefully, where's the wood? Coming to a close soon. We're going to get those prisoners back out there. We're going to get the trash picked up. That's going to happen. Do we agree with that? I hope we agree with that. Thank you. And hopefully, like Vicki said, shame them. I mean, I don't know, you don't want to get in a road rage deal, but when you see them dumping, I've seen them dump complete bags of trash. It's like maybe they didn't pay their ECUA bill and they're using the roads as I mean, you see it on the side of the road. It's horrible. So, yeah, I want to do that. So, Nadine, wherever you are you here? I agree with you. And we'll work on that. Okay, Mary Shablini, how do we get the sides of the road cleaned of all the garbage? Yeah, okay, you just heard. That's good. Okay, what can we, I got too much stuff here. Let me get my stuff organized. Okay, what can we do about 18-wheeler at Tom Thumb? Yep. Okay, Tim, we talked about that today. We're going to get some movement on that. We're going to get some movement on that. How long has fines been accruing on that thing? I drove out there right after the redistricting. I said, what is this garbage? It's so rustic. When are we going to get that out of there?
So, just real quick, for those of you who hasn't met any of my code enforcement officers before or been involved in the code enforcement process, unfortunately it's civil in nature, so anything that happens civilly doesn't happen quickly. That property has been to a special magistrate. It's actually accruing daily fines and has been for probably close to a year. And one of the things that, one of the goals for this year is trying to get with the board to see if we can find additional ways to go ahead and ramp up pressure on. And the best example would be is actually going through say it's $100 a day. Well, that's $300,000 in fines. The board could consider foreclosing on that lien. So, if we can't get their attention by simply fining them, maybe we can catch them through a foreclosure. So,
Are they paying the fines when you put them?
No, so what happens, so it's a lien on the property. So what it does do, if they own any other properties in the county, they won't be able to do...
You got to speak into the mic.
Sorry. Sorry, I can hear this and it seems loud. I apologize.
You don't know what you're talking about, man.
I know, people think that all the time. It's amazing. Just kidding.
I got you. So very briefly, we're just talking about kind of code enforcement liens, the thimbleful. But ultimately what will happen is once we have these liens accruing, if they try to buy or sell any property in Escambia, this lien pops up and they're not able to get to a closure. So it's just...
And we snatch them, I'll take it from here, and we get them all the time, and then here's what happens. You'll love this. And then they come, well, we're trying to do this over here, but you got to lean on this one over here. And guess what? A lot of times, you're going to hate this. We end up forgiving a lot of these fines, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to start getting into the business of not doing that. We never give up the hard costs. If your tax dollars are used to go out there and abate a property or remove something, we never forgive that. We're going to get our money. But these fines like the semi-trailer out there and that dumpy-looking RV, they're just accruing, and I'm telling you, I'm going to make, okay, everyone's watching, right? I'm not voting to forgive those fines, right? I'm not voting. Just remember that. It's on, Jim, print that. I'm not going to vote to abate it. They're going to pay, and then maybe people will get the message. All right. I think there's a process, unfortunately, like many things, there's a process you got to go through. And again, we get back to government, it moves like a glacier. It's very, very slow. I wish we could speed it up, but there's due process, there's a magistrate, there's all these things you got to jump through hoops. And I wish we could do it quicker, but I went out there and saw it. And yeah, Tim, do you want to speak with her in the white? Do you want to talk to him? That's Tim Day. By the way, this is Tim Day, and he knows all about code enforcement. So any issues, ask for his card. He's the man. He's the main man. Okay, Shelley Flowers has a question. She's got it's a multi-part question. Is Shelley here?
She left.
She left. Okay, well, we'll read hers later. No, I won't. No, the beauty of this is there's so many good questions in here that maybe if you didn't even think about it, but you're going to get all the answers to all the questions. Instead of one person getting up and screaming and conscripting the entire meeting, with histrionics. You're going to get answers, and if I don't have the answers, you're going to have guys like Tim Day going to get you the answers. So public parking lot number 3 has potholes everywhere. Okay, I know this. We are just in the process of adding some more fill to that one. That's that one. Shark fishing off the beach. Last summer there were 2 to 4 charters for shark fishing off the shore at parking lot number 3. Extremely dangerous. Tim, do we control shark fishing? Is this the Mountain Dew syndrome again? Do I control this? Is it? Bottom of the pile. Okay. Do you want to explain shark fishing for the?
So, I'm so used to trying to project, but shark fishing on the beach is ultimately regulated by the state, where we are preempted. It is truthfully a lawful activity to occur. However, if people are swimming nearby, it's not a good idea.
That's a great answer. Great. All right. So again, wait, do we have an agree on that? Who thinks it's safe to swim where they're fishing for sharks? Okay, here's the great thing. So you guys came to my town hall, right? And so here's what's really cool about this. You heard him say it's state preemption, right? That's a big buzzword. But guess what? Debbie Malzberger's here, and she works for Representative Salzman. So, Debbie, you're on. You got it. No, I'm kidding. But ask Representative Salzman about shark fishing. Please don't preempt us on that. It's very important. All right. Next question. Purdue to Key Drive. A light at River Road and Purdue to Key Drive is needed. Furthermore, all crosswalks need to be raised, like at the Floribama. To slow down, strips need to be placed on the road before the crosswalk. I don't disagree with any of that. She agrees. We agree. But I'll tell you what. One thing I know about speed bumps, you might think they're a good idea in your area. If you've got kids but your neighbor hates them. So here's what we have to do. We have to get a certain percentage of the people in an area to agree to it before we put them in. And then we call Don Christian. He's back there. Look at him. If you want to know about speed bumps, that's the guy. Go get his card. He's the expert. He's the main man on speed bumps. But believe me, your neighbors might hate you afterward, though, if you get it. Just so you know, because not everyone loves them. All right, Doug Ruth. When is the roundabout to begin? August development on Johnson's Beach Road. Who can answer that question? Wes?
The board awarded.
We awarded it, so his question is, when's it going to start?
Early summer is what we expect.
So we're going to construct that during the summer.
Oh, wait. I think we might have a disagreement. Yes, please rephrase that. I want to make it out of here alive.
Looked at my notes wrong. I apologize. It is expected to be complete by early summer.
You got to get that right. Come on.
Come on, James.
I'll give him credit. That was a good save.
It was a good save. We'll give him credit. Okay, my friend Sava Verazo has a question right here. I spoke to FDOT Director's office. Philip Gaynor said no one from Escambia County contacted them considering the roundabout. They claimed that 6 studies should be conducted before that project comes to pass. Can you please have the project recalled or put it on hold until studies are completed? Sava, with all due respect, I think the ship has sailed on that one.
I fix it if it's a mess.
Well, I mean, you heard me say that earlier. If 2 years from now, a year from now, if it turns into a disaster, then I think we go back and this becomes applicable. Okay, please have Commissioner as a whole draw up a resolution to address the high cost, the Florida Public Service Commission. That's the other thing too about the FPL increases. If you grab that package, it lists in there too how to find those people. There's a commission of people at the state level who approve these things, and
there's 5 of them.
There's 5 of them.
There's 5 commissioners.
Well, 5 commissioners who...
They are appointed by the governor.
I hate that they're called commissioners, too, because people out there go, the commissioners did it. The 5 they are not the county commissioners. They're the public service commissioners at the state.
Service Commission, there are 5 of them. They're appointed... Sorry.
Yes. Okay.
I looked into this just...
Debbie, why don't you come on down? Come on, join the fun. This is Debbie Malzberger. She's a legislative assistant for Representative Salzman. She's going to give you what you need to know about the PSC.
Okay. Very quickly, the Public Service Commission, there's 5 members. Each member is appointed by the governor for 4 years. And when they're appointed, they're confirmed by the Senate. So, look at the Public Service Commission webpage. They have a lovely picture of all 5 commissioners. You hover over it, and you can find out which governor appointed them. Most of them current ones were appointed by current Governor DeSantis. There's one that's serving that was originally appointed by Governor Scott. But they're the ones you need to write the letters to. And if you're concerned about them being reappointed or reconfirmed, write your senator. The Senate is the ones who confirms them.
Okay, thank you. Their numbers in this packet you gave?
I believe they are. If they're not, then I would go to Florida Public Service Commission on Google. Florida Public Service Commission on Google. Yeah, we're not taking quite, we're not quite there yet. I got a bunch of these, and I'll come back to you all.
Going back to the question that was asked about the roundabout. The question was asked when it was going to be started. We found out when it was going to be completed.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, that's reasonable. Yeah. Okay, James Duncan will give us the answer. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so it should start around March, April, then it'll be a 3-month construction time. It's tight time frame, but that's what the contract is set for.
Do your math.
Well, here's what I would say. Here's what I would say. They do have to do what's called maintenance of traffic. And I know you guys, I know that you went through a really long resurfacing nightmare 2 years ago, or 3, was it 2 years or 3 years ago that you did it out there at Perdido Key? It's 2 or 3. I know it was a nightmare. We'll do the best we can. That's all I can say. It's, you know. Or, let me ask this question, James. I mean, but here's the problem. If you wait, the costs are going up. It was this is a true story. It was a $700,000 project. Now that we awarded it, it's $850. Everything's going straight up. So the longer you wait, the more it costs. So you're stuck. I mean, you want to do it in the dead of winter. You want to do it right now. But that's the conundrum that we're in. Okay.
Can you do it at night?
I don't believe
It's not set to be bid at night. So if we did it at night, it'd have to be a change, and the cost would increase. So it's set to go during the day.
All right. I'm going to change the subject real quick. I get it. Look, I mean, remember, I live right in front of 9 Mile Road. That project was I'm telling you. They wanted my head on a stick. I'm telling you, and I had to tell. It became like a shtick. I kept saying, "That's a state project." That was my shtick because they wanted to kill me for it. But please be patient. It will happen. Okay. The intersection of Doug Ford and Sorrento is extremely dangerous. Yes, we've discussed that. The state is going to address that as part of the resurfacing project. Not making Perdido Key Drive is enviable. The future is converging. We can't keep up with the traffic right now. Well, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of people pulling me different directions. Some people think it should be 35 miles an hour. Some people want golf carts on the path. It's 8 foot wide. I'm going to let the experts drive that decision, and I'm going to listen to you guys. But 35 miles per hour, I think, might be a little slow out there. I know that people are speeding. I get it, but I think if you lowered it, I think that creates more problems. Okay, Skip Hole. Is Skip here? He left. Okay, he's go to the bottom of the stack.
What are you talking about? Because I can represent.
Okay, yeah, we got Skip's representatives here. Yeah. All right. It's great to have a representative. Yeah. Can I have one? Just kidding. In the event of a hurricane hitting Inverarity Island, will there be any issue having FEMA or whomever responsible picking up debris, that's a great question, off the island? During Sally, it was finally and gratefully picked up. At first, we were advised it would not be due to us being a private community. Wes, I'm going to tap you on that answer. Wes is going to answer that question.
I'm sorry?
We're going to do divided entry service.
Right. So one thing we did during Hurricane Sally, we got a right of entries for anybody living in a private road or a private subdivision. Our consultant was very helpful for us in bringing those to the table. So what we want to do is get those rights of entries early so that prior to a storm, we'll be ready to enter all those subdivisions. Additionally, what you're going to see coming to the board, I don't know if it's the next meeting or the one after, but our debris hauling contracts will also be come to the board for approval. We want to have those in place prior to hurricane season. So we've been diligently working on that plan, and we've also Been diligently working with our consultant to formulate that plan.
Thank you, Wes, for that answer. Yeah, and I had a neighborhood right next to where I live called Nature Trail. It's a big subdivision, like 677 houses. They had the same issue. It's these weird state, federal laws with disaster recovery, and they had to move their own stuff, and it was a headache. So appreciate that. By the way, did we do Nature Trail, or how did that work out?
We did.
We did, but it was kind of we had to jump through hoops to do it. Okay. So we'll take care of you. I mean, that's the bottom line. It might, if it's a private community, private subdivision, it might take a little red tape, but we'll get through it. Gil Burgell, is Gil here? Did Gil leave? Okay, Gil must have left, but I know his issue. I'm quite familiar with it. His issue, he's a retired fireman. He lives up off of 98 in Bower area, and it's the issue with the fire station that I discussed earlier, the ISO rating. I'm working it. I apologize, I had to take a lozenge. But I'm working that issue, and we're going to get a solution, whether the Navy land or if we got to use some land in the Southwest Sports Complex. We're going to get that solved. Right, Wes? Yep. All right, cool. I was a school board member for many years, and we had a elected, very powerful, strong superintendent of schools, and so I couldn't do that. I was always like, hey, what do you think? But it's kind of cool. Anyway. Joseph W. Mirabile. Is Joseph here? He's here. Is that you? Hey, okay. What dollar amount of property taxes are paid by Perdido Key for the last year for which data is available? What is your estimate of the county's expenditures on Perdido Key? Very good questions. We'll have to have the budget office get back to you. I don't have that off the top of the head, but I'm told anecdotally about 40% of our local option sales tax are generated on Perdido Key, which is kind of amazing when there's not a whole lot of hotels. In fact, I think all the hotels got blown over in Ivan and were never replaced. But all the condos, many of the condos out there are the long-term lease, Airbnb, VRBO. And that's one thing the county has done. We've gone after the VRBO and Airbnbs. They're paying taxes now, too. Before, they weren't. So who's going to, Wes, do you want to take that one for action? Okay, so Mr. O'Malley, we'll get staff to get that answer for you. All right.
Can I ask a follow-up to that?
Yeah, let me get through the questions and I'll get with you individually. I will get with you. Mark Schwann, status of light at Doug Ford and Sorrento, flooding on Doug Ford and Shoshone. Okay, the flooding on Doug Ford and Shoshone, James Duncan, you have any information on that?
We are very aware of it. We've done some studies and whatnot, but yeah, we're aware of it, and it's programmed, I'll say. Programmed. So.
I know a little bit about that one too.
Okay.
Yeah, you live in there. Oh.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I had Joy Blackman in the.
Why don't you speak in the mic? We jump out of the way here. You got it.
So I had actually personally got an engineering study done on Perdido Bay Country Club Estates drainage, because a lot of the houses in the back end of the subdivision flooded really bad in the last storm, and that didn't happen in like Ivan and previous storms. So I wondered why. I thought that maybe the moat that's around the golf course was not cleaned out, and some of the weirs were not cleaned out. And so that study showed that was exactly what it was. Some of those weirs are blocked. They're not even draining at all. And it's not the ones that the county owns. They actually came out recently.
That's correct.
Very recently. If you'll notice that all the cleared out areas, the county came and cleared all of theirs out. But the ones that the golf course has are still not cleared out. So they've talked to them, I know, about, and had their code enforcement talk to them. And they said that they're going to be working on cleaning theirs out as well. But that's one of the things that water has to keep going around and around. And it used to go around and around. It used to actually be a little fountain out in the middle of one of those that kept the water circulating. So a lot of that has to do with that water not moving around the golf course. But they also, we got on the phone with DEP. So, when you go to government, sometimes you're told, no. Well, I got tired of getting told no, you can't go on the property. This is actually what they told one of I wish my neighbor was still here, I don't see him, but they told him if he went on the property behind us, he could go to jail because it was wetlands. I said, I don't think so. So I called the man that owns the property behind us, the Graf organization. I called their lawyer, really nice lady, Lisa, and she said, we don't care. You can go on our property anytime you want to. And so then I called DEP, and I said, DEP, do you care if the county goes onto the property? And they said, no, we don't care. So they came out and did what? They took away all the beaver dams. So what happens, the beavers get back there and they dam it up, and then those won't drain out to the weirs. So you'll see some change right now with all of those things going on. They recently did all of that. If you drive in there, you see how it's all cleared out, whatever. Mr. Flood Defender knows that I get all over this stuff. So you'll see that change, and hopefully you'll see some change with the golf course maintaining those ditches around the golf course, and that should get better for everybody in Perdita Bay Country Club. Thanks.
Thank you, Vicki. Yeah. Thank you, Vicki. And thanks for your advocacy on that. I will say, the staff took time to meet with you.
Yes, they did.
So, and we're, yes.
Can I have a follow-up for that? That was my question.
That was your question, okay. Okay.
The follow-up is, there's another card in there later on, but there's a drainage ditch that runs from Warrior Court all the way down to the end of Pale Moon where the horse farm is, and it makes a right turn and runs out to the bay. That does not drain. I've been working, we've owned the house since 2012. I've been fighting since then to get that fixed so that it does drain instead of the water.
Here's what we're going to do. James, will you please give him your card?
Yes, absolutely.
We'll get staff to meet with you individually, because that sounds like I appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next one, and we're almost done, guys, and for those of you hanging, I appreciate it. There's just no other way to get through all this information unless we're just kind of very, very efficient about it. Scott Mindenbro, I know I'm botching your name. Is that you, Scott? Okay, Scott. With the work on Sorrento, can the project include a flashing yellow light at Doug Ford? This would then turn into a red light should traffic continue to climb. I can pass it along to the folks in traffic. Our traffic engineer is, do we have a traffic engineer yet?
Chris Phillips.
Chris Baggy, is he with us now?
He has not started.
He hasn't started yet, so we have a...
Right there. Can you do it?
Oh, hey, did you start already?
No, I'm Jim Hagan. I'm with traffic.
You're, okay,
Coming on as transportation engineer, I'm traffic engineer.
okay, so if you get his card, and we'll hook you up together, and I know it's a really, that was part of the other question too about putting a light. That's one thing I've learned in this job and being on the TPO and going to the MPOAC down in Orlando. It's very difficult to get a traffic signal. You got to go through a warrant process. They really, because again, it's kind of like the speed bumps. You might like one in front of your subdivision so you can get out, but all the other neighbors around you hate it. It slows traffic down. So they do exhaustive studies. They just don't plant them, as you guys know. So, Jim Hagan, thank you for being here. Appreciate that.
We request a yellow flashing arrow for all traffic signals. This is the new standards the DOT has.
So can you get with him and give him your card so you guys can, all right. And whatever I can do, thank you for being here, whatever I can do to push, of course, I'd be happy to do so. We're going to do those intersection improvements there for you. Okay, Laverne Robinson, wow, she wins the penmanship award, let me just tell you. This is beautiful. I wish I could write this well. Sidewalks and streetlights on Gulf Beach Highway, a main thoroughfare to Blue Angel. Bicyclists riding at night and during the day needs a larger area to ride. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree. It's very, very dangerous. There's not enough sidewalks in this community. There's not enough sidewalks. And I will tell you, yeah, exactly. I know you guys agree with that.
I let you know that all the time, I do.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, believe me, the school board, he's on me all the time. Well, I'll just say, many of you have lived in other parts of the country as well. I've lived in other parts of the country. Other communities, they necessitate the sidewalks be built as part of a subdivision. That's where, that's just not something that is done here. Now, there are subdivisions that do it as an amenity. I mentioned Nature Trail, and so you've got different subdivisions. Some have it, some don't. There's two schools of thought. Make them do it, but then you make the houses more expensive. And right now, we've got a really tough challenge with affordable housing right now. And I don't mean for people I'm talking for people who are working, husband, wife, starting out, just trying to find a house. Everything has gone up so much. I mean, so if you start tacking on all the ornaments on the tree, it collapses and then no one could afford a house. So I think I like sidewalks, and one of the things that I'm going to do, and I'm working on right now, as a matter of fact, this might not pertain directly to you guys, but the state is doing sidewalks from the entrance of Softly Field Road along Softly Field Road all the way over to Mobile Highway. That is going to be a tremendous thing. They're starting that. It's a $1.3 million project. It's another thing that's happening in District 1 that's very exciting, because right now, you talk about dangerous roads. It's dark at night. There are people, there are kids out there walking. I mean, so we're working, and there's a lot of sidewalks going. We did some on Dog Track recently. We had some done. There's more coming. We need more. That's an absolute fact. And we're working on that. We're almost done here, guys. This is from Tracy Reynolds. Why do we not have a turn lane at the Sorrento-Bauer intersection to turn north? The lack of this causes extreme backup on Sorrento. The other three, okay. This is going to be solved with a new project that I mentioned earlier. This specifically is going to be solved. So, is Tracy here? That's a state project. This issue is going to be solved. So, that's good news. This is from Bruce. Oh, yeah, okay, Bernie Schwann, I guess, wasn't he here a minute ago? Bonnie, oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was the same guy putting a card in. Okay, when are they going to 4-lane Sorrento Road? Yeah, we discussed this. And install streetlights. It is very dark at nighttime. If they can't 4-lane it, can they at least repave it? Yes, and they are going to do that from Theo Bars all the way to Bauer. But the portion I'm sure you're talking about, the portion that I'm very concerned about, is from Blue Angel to Bauer, and that is languishing at number 45 on the priorities list. But I'm going to move it. Just mark my words. I'm going to start moving that thing. There was no champion for it apparently, and that's why it languished on the list behind a lot of other big projects that are getting funded. But I hear you loud and clear. Who wants? Again, let's do this one more time. Who wants to see Sorrento Road 4-laned from Blue Angel over to Bauer? Yeah. Okay, that's unanimous. I've got my marching orders. Gotcha. Okay, this is JC. JC, is JC here? JC might have split. As I watch the lawn care near Bayou Marcus Tributary B, I see them tossing all the foliage into the creek. Another simple help, bag the chippings and take them away. I don't know how much it costs to drudge the creek, but it all makes a difference. The walls of the creek are eroding as well. Please help so that homes don't continue to flood and families are made to constantly fear and continue rebuilding. I agree 100%. Yes, absolutely. They shouldn't throw clippings in there, and they do. People are lazy. County people don't do that, do they, Wes?
Hopefully not. You better not.
You heard the boss. I mean, I'm telling you, if you see that,
storm drains, ditches, all
yeah, that's a lazy man's way, and it creates problems later. It gives it gives the beavers material for them to create dams. It just blocks things up. Yeah, so if you see that, I would report it. Particularly, please, if it's a county truck, write down the license number, please, and report it. And Wes will take care of that quick.
Commissioner?
Yes.
Code enforcement.
Yes, please. Oh, what do you want? You want that one? Okay. Yes, please.
Sorry, but I take these calls all the time.
Okay, please tell them. Speak up.
One of the things that happens when they're cleaning these ponds and whatnot is while they're doing it, they will put the debris over into the pond area, not in the pond, but they'll keep it inside the fence until they're done, and then they'll pull it out because they don't want all that stuff on the road.
Okay.
So oftentimes you may see that happening, but you may go back and find that it's been removed. But either way, you could call us, but I found that out recently. So.
Okay, good. Well, that's good. As long as they take it with them. We don't want them dumping it in there. Okay, Donna Mindebro. Why do we only have one power company? Yeah. You know they sell Mountain Dew that has Spanish writing. That ain't mine. I'll just tell a quick anecdotal story. Everyone thinks competition, the private market competition. I owned 3 businesses in San Diego, California in the late 90s, early 2000s. And they had a brilliant idea. They get a lot of them in California. That's why I live here, not there. Where they were going to bring in all these companies and they were going to give competition to the market. Let me tell you what, it was an absolute disaster. I don't know, was anyone around in Southern California when they did that? I was. Yeah, and my power bill at my 3 sports bars and my restaurant, they quadrupled. Let me tell you, it's a very, very tough business as it is, the margins, I mean, and then you get a quadruple energy bill on top of all the other crazy California taxes. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I left, but it looks good on paper. It's like the coach putting the X's and O's. Yeah, it's going to work. You go to run a play, and the quarterback gets sacked. That's what happened. It was a massive quarterback sack, 20-yard loss. It was a terrible idea. Is there some way to make it work? I'm not smart enough to figure it out, but I hope they don't try and do what they did, Semper Energy in San Diego, California, because it was an unmitigated failure. I would suggest you read the literature. I'm not up here to apologize for Florida Power and Light. I'm not. But I do, in speaking with Rick Byers, and that's the guy to call. He is really knowledgeable. Again, he has probably the toughest job in Escambia County right now. He's the external outreach coordinator for Florida Power and Light. Look him up, send him an email, call him. He'll talk to you. If you have a bill, he'll go through it with you. But competition, someone's got to come up with a better way. One thing that's happening now here and around the country is solar. I had at a recent event that I spoke at, older gentleman said, hey, I put solar on my roof and my bill will never be more than $100 again. Sounds pretty good, but boy, what happens when the hurricane rips that off and your roof and half your... So I don't know. There's a lot of meat on the bone. I'm not an expert on that. Luckily, that's not the county commission's deal. Appreciate you guys hanging with me. Okay, real quick, Alan Bazell. Notwithstanding our... Can I read this? Notwithstanding our prior commissioner, what was the underlying reason for the change in district boundaries? Why was it done at this time rather than when the terms changed? Great question, and I believe I answered it earlier. Here's the thing. By statute, after the decennial census, you must, by statute, redistrict. But it says in an odd year. It does not specify anywhere that you have to do it in the first odd year. So I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it till 2023. You can go back and rewind the tape. Again, everything I say up here, I want you to fact check me. Well, I said, guys, we don't need to push it. We don't need to rush it. Let's wait till 2023. There are people in the election cycles like Steve Stroberger who put his name in the hat and spent a lot of money, raised a lot of money, and he got redistricted out. Things like that happen. That's why I feel it would have been better to wait. But what happened. I got outvoted, and it happened. And that's why it happened. Honest to God fact. All right, Michael D. Thomas. Hey, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right. Don Carlos Drive, River Road, repairs.
Yes.
It's a mess. Where does the money go? Perdido does not get any. I don't know about that one, okay. I just got here. Please, give me a minute. No, I do, and that goes to the other question that the gentleman had. Do you want me, I don't know, do you want me to send you the same information we're going to get for the other gentleman about the total amount of money generated? In fact, let's will you send that same information to this gentleman? You'll get an answer.
I can email.
Okay, I appreciate it, man, I just don't know the answer to that. But I want an answer, I'd like to know that answer too. I'm going to read the answers too, that way.
If you have a Fiat or a Mini Cooper,
Yeah.
you can't drive that. You can't.
I believe you. I believe you. Well,
There's rebar around the one manhole.
Okay.
Rebar sticking up.
well, give me a little time. Just give me a little time.
I've been there 4 years.
I just got here. I've been here 4 months. Less than that. Give me some time. All right. Patrick, boy, I'm never going to get this one right. Shiblini? Scheiblein. Okay, well, I wasn't too far off. Are you going to support the Pensacola Pass dredging and place the sand in shallow waters off Perdido Key to continue renourish sand on the beaches in Perdido Key? Where do you stand on funding and completion of the Perdido Key hiking trail? Okay, easy. There's a inlet management plan that's in place right now, and it appears to be working. And so I have no problem with that. In my research that I've done, it appears that in 2004, the eastern portions of Perdido Key, the beaches that were highly developed, were critically eroded. It appears that my predecessor's predecessor did a valiant effort to acquire easements. Because, as you know, the federal government, it's private property out there, right? Private beaches, private property. We can't just go dump sand on something without getting something back in return, which would be access to the public. And so when the renourishment effort happened, it stalled because of the fact that there were not enough property owners out there that were willing to do it. Now, subsequent to that, this inlet management plan was put out as a potential solution because the sand travels from east to west out there. And so let me just say for the record, I don't plan on tinkering with that. If it's working and people are happy with it, I'm fine with it. Again, I go back to my comments before. I understand the rules, and I play by the rule book. But I do think there will come a time when that won't be sufficient. We've seen some things in Fort Walton, we've seen some things further on the East Coast where the condo, a bad storm comes through and suddenly the condo, right outside the condo is where the beach is, and the beaches are gone. And then at that point, I think folks call the county and say, hey, can you help us renourish? So I think it's just a matter of a storm coming through. But the answer to your question is no, I don't plan to do anything with that. If the status quo works and it's helpful, and then funding the completion of the hiking trail that's already funded, it's going to happen in the fall. So I hope that answers your question, and thanks for your patience, and thank you for being here.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes?
And Tim is checking in because we talked about the Christmas trees.
Yeah, I can answer that. I can answer that question. So Vicki Campbell, she and I talk to Kevin, we talk, had this idea. I'm throwing things all over. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Had the idea that after Christmas, well, other states take the Christmas trees and they plant them at the beach as a means of preventing erosion. They do it in Alabama, they do it in other places. So I said, hey, I'll look into it. So I asked Tim Day, and he sent me back this long email string. I mean, he went, and here's the reason why we can't do it here. There's critically endangered species, including the mouse and others, and if you put the tree into the sand, it interferes with their routes of travel, or he'll explain it better than I will. I understood it. I just went through, okay, we can't do it. Here we go, yeah.
That's what So the easy part, the easy thing to say is we went to the state. The state actually prohibits this activity statewide, so it's not something specific to the Key. It's not allowed on Pensacola Beach or anywhere else in Florida where there's sea turtle nesting beaches. And so, there's good arguments for the pine trees to actually help rebuild dunes rapidly, but the state has determined that they're a detriment and therefore won't allow us to do it.
Okay. All right, so we put a button on that one. All right, Shirley Tinley, I've got literally just a couple more, and appreciate your patience. Okay, so Shirley, flooding on Inner Point Road. Building houses, permits obtained, but inspections not done, resulting in flooding. Houses not meeting the code, sewage issues. Cleaning of restrooms at Perdido Key Beach. They are filthy and are only cleaned once a week. Michael Rhodes, how you doing, buddy? How you doing, man? That's Michael Rhodes back there, by the way. And let me just tell you what, I say that in all facetiousness, but this guy is really a superstar, and he is the director of Parks and Rec, and is that something that falls in your bailiwick, cleaning those restrooms out there?
So I've heard of beach access.
Yes. Okay. It's contracted out. Is there something that you can?
We increase it during the season. We normally start spring break, give or take 1st of March, mid-March, and increase it through Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
So let's say it's 3 or 4 times a week at this time of year. Come spring break, we go through Labor Day, and we up it to 5 times.
5 times a week?
5 times a week is what I meant to say. I apologize.
Okay, so during the season, 5 times a week, off season, 3 times a week.
And we reserve the right to increase if need be.
Okay, I've seen the trash cans, I know y'all have. I mean, those beaches, I'll tell you what, it just goes to the point, and I might have mentioned this before, but I spoke with the ladies at the visitor center on Saturday when we were out there working, and the 2 ladies in there said their number one issue was there's not enough places for people to go when they come to Perdido Key, not enough places to park, and when you have people crammed into spaces, they're going to overuse the facilities, they're going to use the trash so the trash overflows, but 5 days a week during the season. And if we have to increase it, how do we go about doing that?
We monitor. We know that it becomes a problem. Also, we can add garbage cans, which we would hope would help the problem. And to your point earlier in the conversation, I hope that Beach Access 4 will
alleviate the load. Yeah.
Some of the trash on the other beach.
I hope so.
That would be, in a perfect world, that would be.
Very good. Okay, Chris Kerb is this gentleman right here. He is the local representative for Flood Defenders. They're an advocacy group for helping become more resilient. His boss, Jay Faison, was on my last coffee with the commissioner. I would encourage you, if you have any sort of challenges with flooding and stormwater on your property, take a look at these guys. They're very, very serious about it. Jay Faison, not to be a commercial for you, Chris, but you've left me a book here. I can't read it all. So you guys could go to his website and
Well, you can pick one of those.
yeah, I get to pick one. Okay. That's very nice of you. Very nice of you. No, these guys. No, Chris he was a good guy. He worked for 30 years for the county, 25 years for the county. He was the flood project guy. I mean, he was the guy, so he knows where all the skeletons are buried and all the problems. But, one of the questions I asked him, because now he comes to the meeting and says, how come you're not doing this? How come you're not doing that? And so I called him on the phone. I said, Chris, you were in charge for 25 years. How come you didn't do it? He says, well,
Give me the money.
all right. Okay. Well, I mean, this, okay, what do you want me, which one do you want me to ask? Plan, okay. The plan is we have a number of stormwater projects underway currently. There's not enough money to do them all. And so it becomes a triage situation. And Chris has heard this answer. So we have inherited a lot of very poor planning decisions. And I know that's not an answer, right? But that's the truth. And so I'm coming to a point. And so there were subdivisions, entire subdivisions on Highway 98 that were built in flooded out wetlands. But back in the 70s and 80s, they were just like, just bring in more dirt, and they did it. And so now we're picking up the pieces, and we got people flooding out, and we're spending your money, your taxpayer money, to fix these problems from before. So first thing you do, when your roof's leaking and your carpet and your drywall is getting wet, first thing you have to do before you fix the carpet and drywall is you got to fix the roof leak. So we've done that. This county, out of 67 counties statewide, this county in 2016 was the only county building and allowing builders to build to a 25-year standard. Everywhere else in the state, they were at 100-year. So we've quickly gone that direction. Chris knows we're now at the 100-year. But with climate change and all these other things, I mean, I'm thinking maybe we need to be even more proactive. So that's something we'll look at. Because look, I've had people, in fact, on Friday afternoon, I want to give a shout out to staff. Friday afternoon, Dowdy Drive and Rossi Lane is a community, and Chris is shaking his head, and they've just had years and years of flooding, and it's getting worse. And it's a combination. We've had more rain in 2021 than we've had, nearly 100 inches. Normally 70, 78 inches. We've had 100 inches. So we're getting more rain, combined with subdivisions that were built to standards that were insufficient, and that's a perfect storm. So a shout out to staff. Some folks organized. I don't know if Chris was involved in it, but I said, we're going to have a meeting out there. It's not even part of my district anymore. But we went out there, and I told these folks, we're going to find a solution. And part of it's, I don't want to get into the whole thing, but I will say staff met me on a Friday afternoon, and we answered their questions, and we're working that issue. And we're working all the issues. Chris, as you know, there's never enough money to do everything government needs to do. But the answer to your question, Chris, is we're going to work them. I'm in support of maybe making the standards a little more difficult, a little more, the bar a little higher on these retention ponds. And I'll tell you something else I've done, Chris. Out in Beulah, which is an area that's exploding in my district, you just talk to the developers out there. We've had several of them, and they weren't doing it right. So we shut them down. We shut them down, made them rebuild it, made them re-engineer it. Rock Ridge, Deer Run, there's a couple engineers that are really mad at me. But here's the thing, what I know. Once they build it, if they don't build it as it's engineered, we're stuck with it, the county, and that means you. And so these guys, a lot of them, they want to get past 2 years. They build it, they plat it, they sell the lots, 2 years, and then they go, here you go, homeowners association. And these homeowners associations are calling me and they're saying, Woodland Meadows is a great example. Jeff, what do we do? The pond's not working. Well, you own it now. So the first thing you do is you read your sales documentation when you're about to buy in a subdivision. The second thing is have a strong homeowners association that understands that these ponds got to be maintained. If they're not maintained, they're going to fail, and then you're going to flood. So it's a complex issue. I'm not going to, I can't take the time to go through everything. But trust me, we hear from Chris at every meeting. We get the emails, and we're looking at the issue, and we're fixing as many of them as we can. The final thing I'll say is there's one issue in District 1 off of Blue Angel. Floridian is the subdivision. Sarasota Street is the street. And 2.5 years ago, they called me and said, our backyards are falling into the ditch. Falling in the ditch. I said, this must be hyperbole. No, I went out there. Their backyards are falling in a ditch. I went to the staff. I said, what is going on here? Well, they platted it in 2007, and it was allowed to happen. I said, why would we let them build it this way? I don't understand it. So the residents invited me to the house. We found a way, and I pressed it, and I was going to put my own discretionary money to get that fixed because I've got families with kids. They were worried about their kids falling into the ditch. Long story short, staff, I always want to manage them up because we do have a great staff at Escambia County. They found Joy Jones. Joy Jones is no longer here as county engineer. She retired, but she found a grant. We had a $400,000 grant, and we got it fixed. It's almost completed. I drove by the other day, it brought a smile on my face. Those backyards have been fixed, that ditch has been fixed, because it took a lot of effort. No one took the time, and I give staff the credit for that, but those are the sorts of battles you win one at a time. So here's what you do, Chris. If you got a flooding problem, keep coming to the meeting, keep calling your commissioner, call me. I'll come out there on a Friday. I'll come out there and meet with you. I'll meet with groups. I'll do whatever I can to help you. But I don't have enough money to fix every problem that this county allowed to fester for decades and decades. That's why you stop the roof leak first before you repair the carpet and the drywall. And we've stopped the roof leak right now. I'm holding their feet to the fire. In my district, ask Horace Jones about, there one guy got fired out there. I didn't care. He called me, oh, I'm going to get fired. Well, fix the pond. I don't care if you get fired, because I'm not going to have these homeowners own this, or the county. Do it right, or just don't build here in Escambia County. So he got fired. He was a nice guy, but you got to do it right. And I'm sorry about that, went long. Brad Farah, is the county looking at investing in their own fiber communications? Yes, we are. I came from a city in North Carolina where it was a big failure and a huge money loss. What prevents the county from building solar fields? Thank you. That is an initiative that we're using American Rescue Plan money to do, and there are some folks that agree with it. There are some the fiber backbone. Well, with respect, it's a board decision, and we've got Rescue Plan money that enables it, and with all due respect, we've commissioned a study, we've looked at it, and because that it looks as though we're going to move forward with it, we were able to leverage that capability into getting a regional, see, here's where things pay benefits. Had we not done it, and had we not located where it's going to be located, we would not be getting the state's traffic managed. There's going to be a TSOC, a Traffic Systems Operations Center, which is going to improve traffic flow throughout this county. And it's going to be located in Escambia County exactly because we're investing in this fiber. There are large swaths of the county. We've done a study. I've sat through the meetings. I know it's a large investment. I know people are concerned about it. And we haven't done it yet, but because we've made that commitment, the TSOC is coming here, which is going to make traffic flow in Escambia County and Santa Rosa County infinitely better, and it was because we made that investment. And there are other things that are going to come from it. There are leases we can make. We did that a couple of years ago using CARES Act money. We put broadband, or we put Wi-Fi in all of our parks. That's been a big hit. As we've learned from this pandemic, if we've learned nothing else, you have to have an internet connection. If you're in an area and you can't even pay for it. I know a guy who lives in the north part of Escambia County. I'm not going to mention his name or his business, but he tells me, he goes, I am on the top plan, and I can barely do my job. He goes, it's so horrible. There are others in that position. So sometimes when the private market doesn't do something, the government does. And I'm not going to go so far as to be, someone that says, well, it's a human right or anything like that. But I think it's something we can do, and I think it's something we can do prudently, and I think it's something that pays dividends. So with respect, the board did vote on that, and we'll see what happens with that going forward.
AT&T is big competition.
Yeah, I understand, and there's Starlink, there's all kinds of satellite stuff, but we'll see what happens. The final,
Call the city of Salisbury, North Carolina, and ask them if they need to get the city.
Was that your comment? Okay. All right. Well, duly noted, and Salisbury, North Carolina.
Salisbury, North Carolina.
Wes? Debbie? We're gonna look into it. Look, one thing I'll do is I'm willing to admit if I'm wrong, and I'm wrong all the time. Believe me, I will look into it. But that is an initiative that the majority of the board is behind, and there's a lot of rationale for it. Okay, we're down to the wire here, guys. When will the dock at Inverarity Point Park be repaired? Michael Rhodes.
Sid and I are coordinating that, and I don't have an answer or anything to get back with.
Was that okay? Because that concerns me, because I drove out there, because it's very close to the Galvez Landing. It looks, can you come up? And I'm sorry to do it to you, Mike. Thanks for being here, man. Look, this staff, they told him 7 o'clock. Yeah, I knew it was not going to be 7 o'clock. But we're answering every question here, every question. So, Michael, the question is from me. Was that designed to be on an intercoastal? It looks like something that was designed for a lake because it got wiped out. And are we going to be covered with FEMA money or insurance money to repair it?
Tim might be able to help me with this, but we've had FEMA. As you know, FEMA's not a quick process. Nope. In the parks world, we were adamant to open up the Inverarity Point Park as soon as possible, which we did, and we cordoned off where the dock was. Obviously, I'm very disappointed that the newly minted pier did not survive the storm either, when a lot of other docks, such as Navy Point, old school docks, did. Obviously, it was more exposed, but we have met FEMA. We've done several walkthroughs, and we're not there yet. And we are. They are, in my opinion, they are. We're working that out, but it won't be the same design because obviously that design did not work.
No, that design didn't work.
And Tim, if you have anything else to add to that, but that's where we're at. And if whoever asked the question, I'll be happy to get them a little more in-depth answer.
They didn't leave a phone number, so.
I can't read that right now.
It's in Tibetan. All right. Who asked the question about Inner Park Road? It's
Inner Point Park Pier.
Inabot. He signed his name like a signature.
See its address? I'll take it and try to look it up. Okay. It's got an address on it. I'll try to find it.
Let me know if you can translate that, if you can decipher it. All right, James Belushi. Is that for real? Is there a James? Is this? Okay. All right. We applaud the Northwest Beach Access #4 effort, the newest beach access. Has there been any progress in opening with the state park facility in Perdido Key? Are we partnering with the state on this? Who could answer that question? Tim? The state park that's blocked off? He's wanting to know. What's the story on that one?
So those are separate efforts. The state park actually is still actually themselves working with their own funding issues, kind of like where we're having some challenges with FEMA on Inner Point Park Pier. The state park basically has a narrow window every year. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, but they just have a narrow window that they can do that construction each year. But I know that they're doing everything they can to bring it back as quickly as possible. So, sorry, not a good answer for the state park.
Thank you very much. And that was for Mr. James Belushi. I wonder if that's for real. Okay, I'm told we're about to get the hook because the church. How much? Okay, well, how much time do I have? Because I got this many cards left. I want to go through. Okay, we're gonna. All right, I appreciate your patience. But this is a lot of good information, and again, the answers will come from staff. Patricia McLeod would like to know, she's got a list of things, need representation on Citizens Advisory to the CAC. Okay, this is Pat McClellan's question. Okay. Okay, these are questions that I will get with you offline, because after our meeting the other day, I did, so I'll get with you offline. I wanted to.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could wait.
Yep, I will. I'll take this one for action. I promise. All right. Natalie Tremblay, Sorrento Road intersection improvements, specifically Doug Ford Drive, it is so dangerous, way too narrow. Even if we had 4 lanes, the traffic moves too fast. As I described earlier, there's some improvements coming with the state project. So that one's, okay, Mark Schwann, I think did he ask one? Or? You did, okay, good, all right. Daniel R. Henderson. I am concerned about this is the last question. Where's the agree signs? Yeah, the last question. Thank you. I am concerned about the pedestrian bike path built many years ago on River Road, back to beach. It was poorly constructed then and is in horrible condition. Many people walk or run in the road due to potholes and water. Compared to the other paths, it should be repaved at least. Who can speak to that one? Okay, West Marine is going to take that one for action. Oh, you want me to bring that up? That one, okay.
I will, I got it.
All right. Well, I think we're about to lose our crowd here. Let me leave by saying there was a pretty big, substantial meeting the other night related to Restore Act, Pot 2. And Senator Doug Broxson brought together folks from Alabama, Mobile, Fairhope, Escambia County, Santa Rosa County, and we're going to bring in Mississippi. And there's a very ambitious project. Are you sure we're at Liberty?
Yes.
Okay. And it was a fascinating meeting. Each of the states that were affected by the oil spill have a governor-appointed coordinator, for lack of a better term. And the frustration is that these coordinators for these states are kind of doing their own thing, and they're not really being held accountable. So we've got about $462 million in Pot 2, and Senator Broxton simply asks, can we link arms and do a multi-state regional project, and will you get on board? And so Vicki attended, I attended, and again, we had a room full of people, and staff has looked at it, and we believe we can draw down about $100 million to take septic to sewer in Escambia County, Santa Rosa County, Baldwin, Mobile, and then over to Hancock and the other counties in Mississippi. This is money that's sitting there, and we don't want these bureaucratic appointed folks to be able to make those determinations. We want enough people to get engaged in the process. So, Vicki, do you want to add anything to that? I mean, it's an exciting project, so stay tuned on that. I wasn't going to speak to it because I didn't know we were at liberty, but Vicki Campbell says I could say so. Yeah, that works. So thank you, Vicki, for that, for bringing that. Okay, well, look, you guys were great. You stayed very late. I'm going to stay until they kick me out of this place. I got to take a lozenge, though. But anyone wants to talk to me, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be right here. So thank you for being here. We've answered all the questions. But if you'd like, I have business cards. The staff is still here. If you have particular things that weren't answered, I'm going to be right here. So thank you for being here tonight. Thank you.